Hey fam, so today we are going to be making yuca frita. Now the way that we're going to be making it, we're not going to drench it in oil, we are not going to be frying it. So yuca frita, also known as yuca fries or cassava, depending on which country you come from or depending on what culture you come from, it's called different things. So real quick, I guess I should kind of talk to you guys a little bit about like what yuca is. So it's a root vegetable and it's kind of like a starchier vegetable, very similar to potatoes, but I love the yuca frita because it gets so crispy and it's just a little bit of a different taste, not too crazy different than, like I said, a potato, but I love it. So now usually this recipe is super deep fried in a lot of oil, and we are not doing that. We are actually going to do an oil-free version. So if you guys know or follow me on social media, you know that I do like a high carb, low fat lifestyle. So this is what keeps me in great health. This is what makes me feel good and at my best. So that is why we're doing that, and we don't need excess oil if we don't need it. I forgot the rest of mine at my mom's, so we're just gonna have just this one today. But if you're doing a large serving or you want leftover or you're making some for a family, definitely use more than just one. But they come like this, and so they have like this wax coating on it, so we're gonna be cutting that off. But also you can buy them frozen already peeled, which is so much easier. I actually love doing that, but I kind of wanted to show you guys what they actually look like. So make sure you have a sharp knife. I'm gonna use this with my cutting board, and also while we're doing that, get a pot of water, and I use some spring water here. You wanna have enough to be able to cover the yuca once you put it in there, once it's boiling. So I'm just gonna put it on high, and I'm gonna let it start boiling while we cut the yuca. All right. Okay, so now that we've cut all of that waxy skin off, we are going to chop these into fry size bites. So I'm gonna cut it in half once. Now you can determine how you want these to be cut, but I'm just gonna cut them, like I said, in little like fry size bites. Yuca frita is usually in like chunky fry pieces, so let's do that. There is a root in the center, you'll see here. This root, you're gonna you can leave it on or you can pull it off now, or you can pull it off when it's done boiling. So these are kind of the sizes usually that a lot of the Latin countries will use when they're making yuca frita. So we're just gonna leave them like that, and I'm gonna leave the roots in until they're done boiling. I'm gonna put these in the boiling water. Be careful when you're putting these in, you don't wanna burn yourself. Oh shoot, just like that, be careful. Okay, so we're gonna leave them in there for about 15 minutes until they are like poke soft. So we are going to set the oven. We're gonna bake it at 450. And we're gonna bake them at 450 for 15 minutes, but I just wanna get the oven started. Next, let's get our parchment paper ready because we are not gonna use any oil and we are not gonna use any foil. That rhymed. But you guys already know I do not use foil because it seeps heavy metals into the body, which causes so many issues and chronic illness and cancer and all these other things. So we always use parchment paper. So make sure you get some parchment paper. And then I'm just gonna use this pan, this cast iron, because I don't have a ton of yuca frita, so I don't need a large pan, so I'm just gonna use this one. That's all set. So now let's just get started on our guacamole. So here are the simple ingredients we are going to need for this guacamole. You're going to need 1 cucumber. Now we're only probably going to use a half of it. Tomato. We'll use a half of an onion. A large avocado, make sure that it's ripe and ready, and I have another one just in case I'm going to add a little bit more, so it just depends on how much you want to make. I have 2 serrano peppers. I would use 1 jalapeno if you don't like anything spicy, or don't use any peppers at all if you don't like spicy. And then I like a lot of garlic, so you can, you know, just do 2 if you'd like, but I have like 4 to 5 here. Garlic is super medicinal, and it's a natural antibiotic, and it's really good at fighting off anything in the gut, and a lot of viral load. We have 1 lemon, and then we have some cilantro and some sea salt. So let's get started on that. So as you can see here, I just poked this yucca, or this one here, and it went right through easily. So these are done. So now what we're gonna do is put them on the parchment paper and just put a little bit of salt and pepper on them and put them in the oven. Now remember, you don't wanna leave these on too long because they'll start falling apart and becoming mushy. That's not how we're gonna eat them. So I'm gonna use this to scoop these out. And I'm gonna set them on the parchment paper. Be careful because they're really hot. Okay, this is the last one. So those are all of the yucca fries that I have. Okay, so you'll see here, like here is a little root that you can kind of just pick out. So if you see any of those, just pick those out, and we're gonna salt and pepper these. I'm gonna put some pepper on here. Now for these, you could totally like toss them in a bowl if you'd like. We're not gonna use any oil, remember? So, but the wetness of the yucca allows it to adhere to the fry. So I'm just gonna kind of pour a little bit more. So even if you don't get all of the roots, that's okay. They'll come out once you cook them all the way. Now I have some Himalayan sea salt. Now you can totally like toss those around to make sure it's totally covered, but, and I'll probably do that too right before I put them in, but now they're ready to go in. The oven is preheated. All right, they are in there. So I'm gonna shut those and put the timer on for 15 minutes. So the first thing you're gonna need is a large bowl. And I'm cutting up the avocado first. I end up using 1 full avocado and a half of a large one. So 1 1/2. Next up, I use 2 serrano peppers because I like my guacamole a lot more spicier, but if you are on the mild side, I would use regular jalapenos. And if you don't like any spice, you don't have to use any. Next up, I have a large tomato, and I'm just slicing this into small pieces, chunky pieces. It doesn't have to be perfect, but enough to just mix them all up there in the guacamole. Next up, we have an onion. Now I'm just going to use half of this onion, not the whole thing. You can totally add a little bit more if you'd like, but I love onion and half is good for me. So I'm going to chop this up into smaller pieces and then add them to the bowl. Next up, we have our cucumber. I'm going to half this and save the other half for another recipe, but I'm going to cut these into, oh, as you can see, the onion's making me cry. But I'm going to come back to this and cut these up into pieces that are like pretty small. I don't want them that big, so what I did was I sliced them and then cut them into 4s and then put them in the bowl. Now, as I mentioned, I'm going to use another half of an avocado to make this guacamole perfect, so I add another half. Next up, we have the cilantro, so we're going to chop this into really small pieces and then add this as well.
Next up, I have garlic. Garlic is my favorite. So I have about 4 to 5 of these cloves. So I usually smash them down with the side of the knife, and that helps the garlic skins open up and make it easier to peel. And then I will be putting these into the garlic crusher, which you will see shortly. So here it is. If you don't have one of these, you should totally invest in one of these, especially if you like garlic. It just crushes it up so well, and with all of the juices without you having to do a bunch of chopping. And lastly, we have the lemon. Now this is a really juicy lemon. I was able to get a ton of juice out of this one. So if you find that you have a lemon that doesn't have that much juice, maybe use another one, but this one gave me a lot and it was perfect for the taste of the guacamole. Next up, we have some sea salt. So you can add as much as you like. I added about a half a teaspoon here. Now it is time to smash it up. I know this bowl is a little bit small for as much as I end up making, but we're gonna get it all mixed down together. Make sure all of the avocado is smashed down and that all of the ingredients are mixed together. Okay, now it is all mixed up and the yucca is ready to get out of the oven, so let's get it out. They look pretty crispy to me. And as you can see, they're all nice and crispy. Not, I mean like crunchy on the outside, and that's exactly how you want them. Just put them on this plate here. Now I'm gonna plate them on this little bowl with some guacamole on this side, just to have like our own little serving. Now, if you've never had guacamole with cucumbers in it, game changer. You have to try it. It just gives it like an even more refreshing taste. I don't know how to explain it, but it's fire, okay? Just take my word for it. And you can peel the cucumbers if you'd like, but these were organic and the skin actually has a lot of benefits, so I kept it on. All right, you guys ready for the taste test? Ooh. All right, y'all. Here I have it, the yucca and the guacamole. So, I'm ready to taste it. I already tried a little bit of the guacamole, but I haven't had any of the yucca yet. So I'm gonna get a lot on there. It's so good because the outside of the yucca is so crispy, but on the inside, it's so soft. So good, my friends. You're gonna love this one. Okay, I'm gonna go in for. If I wasn't on camera, I would eat this so fast. It's so good. And the cool thing is there's so many sauces that you can make with this, but I wanted to do something that was oil-free, easy, and everybody loves guacamole, so like why not? And I know that you guys will really like this one with the cucumbers in it. You have to try it. And it's so filling. This is kind of breaking. Come a little closer to me. So, I hope you enjoy. Let me know if you tried making it and how it turned out. All right, bye.